You ready?
Let's go.
Man, Jay Hill, I am so excited to be here tonight, man, in the black court, brother.
Yes, sir.
Our first podcast, man. So excited to be here for the community, the legal community, the political community, the sports world, the sports business world, man. We're going to talk about all of it, man. It's going to be an exciting night, man, to have this first podcast and get it done for the community of the sports world, man. I'm really excited, Jay.
Man, you know, I am a huge fan of podcasts. You know, I listen to, I told you, Joe Budden's podcast, I'm Athlete with Brandon Marshall and all those guys. A little bit of Gary Vaynerchuk. Not sure if you've heard of him. That's somebody I really like a lot. And when you call me, like, I've never like really thought about it real heavy for myself or to be a part of a podcast.
Yeah.
But when you called me, man, it's just like a little flame turned on. I was like, uh-oh, Lord.
Won't he do it? Won't he do it?
Will he won't? All right, go ahead.
But yeah, man, I appreciate it, Jay, because I really wanted to do this and couldn't think of a better person to do it with than the illustrious Jay Hill, and was so excited that you had to beg a little bit, man. I'm so excited you decided to roll with it, man, and get this thing done. And man, I've always been hyped on getting information to the community, but I also been hyped, man, talking sports. I come from a sports background.
Yeah.
Obviously, having been an NBA agent and an NFL agent, and having represented Magic Johnson for such a long time.
Man, we've known each other so long, I forgot that you were an agent.
Yeah,
for
man.
A minute, too.
Back in the day, man.
Yeah.
That's a tough world to live in right there, boy.
Yeah.
But had a great time doing that, man, and being such a big sports fan. But I'm also appreciative of the fact, man, that you allowed me and us to talk about things that are relevant to the community, because there are a lot of issues out here, Jay, that people want to hear about and understand, and we're going to handle that business as we move forward with this podcast for sure. Yeah,
man, I'm not going to let you cap, as those young folks say. It only took one phone call. Most of the time it takes more than one. But, I was interested by the first phone call. I didn't quite understand at first. I love talking to you. You and I, our homie LG is in the building, as always.
Yeah.
Some people in the hood, they call me their shooter. The shooter is in the building. And so, you, Graham, and I have such a, wonderful friendship. Such a wonderful chemistry together. We've done so many things together that, it's just hanging out with my friend, my brother. So it's easy, man.
Man, well, hey, let's pop it off, man. Because
all right, what you got, bro? Oh, can you first? I'm sorry. Let me say one thing. Can you at least explain what this podcast is about? I'll set the stage.
Okay, man. I'm going to start off with the community.
Okay.
We noticed, both of us, that there was sort of a vacuum in the community. In terms of information. Okay. And information being available about certain topics, in particular topics that related to the legal world or the political world.
Okay.
And so we thought it would be a great idea to spend some time related to topics of interest and importance to the African American community and other communities. Spend some time clarifying those issues or those topics or those issues of relevance, especially as they come up in the national community or come up relative to the national dialogue. So part one is always going to be about educating our community. Yeah. And they'll see it tonight. That's how we roll it. But then part two, we're going to break it down and have a little fun and talk about the sports world, but not just about what's happening in terms of games or scores and things like that. What's really happening relative to the sports world.
Behind the curtain.
Behind the curtain, man. Behind that ball rack.
Didn't they used to call you like the fixer where you was?
Yeah, man. Look, well, they had some other things they said about it.
Okay.
But
you and I have to clean up some messes.
I did, man. What they used to call it, Jay, when you crisis management.
We
used to have as an agent. That's what they used to say. Oh, Ken does crisis management. I used to hate that.
You did?
Yeah, man, crisis. That means I'm not on that glamour side, man. I'm not over here negotiating contracts. Can't gonna handle your crisis, man.
That must have been pre Olivia Pope, because Olivia Pope made it hot.
For real.
Yeah.
We had a player that we were representing. We're not going to get on the sports side too heavy now. But we had a player that we were representing. He ended up playing for the Dallas Cowboys. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you how you got to be careful with this stuff. So we were trying to sign him. He played football down in a southern state. Mm-hmm. And you know, like I said, I'm not going to mention who it was. But he had a little legal issue, right?
Okay.
So we're trying to sign him. He had a legal issue. So we went down to where he was. Mm-hmm. And we actually took care of the legal issue.
Okay.
You know, as an attorney, gave him good advice. It worked out. He got off the hook. Yeah. Clear now to be drafted and move on to the NFL. Mm-hmm. Man, do you know that right as the signing day approached, he decided to go with another agent. Mm. And I say right then and there, crisis management ain't it, man. No. You got to be the agent. It's about negotiating the contract and representing the player. That crisis management stuff, man, that's for the birds.
Yeah, I think the millennials call that getting dubbed. You guys got dubbed.
That's what they called it. That's what we got. Yeah, we got dubbed on that one.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, I wanted to start off with an issue that's near and dear to my heart, Jay.
Okay.
Because it hurts. This thing really hurts me when I think about it.
Okay.
Like, we all have jobs. Mm-hmm. And we all take pride in our jobs. Yeah. We go to work every day. And you know what else we take pride in, Jay?
What's that?
Pleasing our employers. We like to please our employers. That's the way we're supposed to get ahead in the employment game. That's how we're supposed to make more money. But let me tell you, there's one time when you shouldn't be talking about pleasing your employer.
Okay.
And that's when you get hurt on the job.
What?
When you get hurt on the job, that's not the time to be talking about pleasing your employer.
When you say pleasing your employer, what do you mean by that?
Making your employer happy, even when your employer is not necessarily treating you properly.
Okay.
Doing things against your best interest to please your employer. Mm-hmm. Putting yourself at risk or in danger to please your employer. Okay. That's what I'm talking about. Doing things that don't make sense to make sure that your employer is happy. That's the situation many of us find ourselves in the workplace. Okay. And it is amplified and it hurts the most when you get hurt. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, can you set the stage? All right. So, let's say this, man. You know, when you do podcasts and stuff like this, you have these pre-production meetings and stuff, right? And, one of us will come up with a topic and, we pray that the other person will like it and be as on fire as we are about it. And, I have to be honest, man, you my boy and everything. I love you, man. But at first I was like, okay, Ken's going to turn this podcast into a legal podcast from the rip. I said, but that's my boy. I'm going to ride with him. So I was like, all right, let me listen. And, man, I got to thinking about workers' compensation. And from a legal standpoint, it's kind of hard to, well, maybe to some folks it's hard to understand. So can you explain that? And then, but I really want to get into some real life issues that I think are impacting the Black community as it relates to workers' compensation.
So we do the boring part first, and that's what you're saying.
Well, let's just mix it all in together. I think it all fits together.
In North Carolina, for example, when you're on the job and you have an accident, anything that results from that accident in the way of an injury, you're entitled to receive compensation for. Okay. Especially if you're injured to the point where you have to be out of work. Okay. Then your employer has an obligation to pay you for your time out of work. They also have to pay you for your medical expenses. Okay. And if you end up with a permanent injury, they have to compensate you for that. So we've got a very robust workers' compensation group of laws in North Carolina that really serve to protect you if you do what you're responsible for doing when you get hurt. Okay.
Can you explain, what an accident is? Like when you say you have an accident at work, what does that mean?
It has to be something that is unusual. they use the word unlooked toward. You slipped, you got in an automobile accident, you're a truck driver, something hits you, you fall, something falls on you, something that is unusual or unlooked toward. It can't be you doing, a lot of people have injuries on the job where they're just doing their normal work. You lift up a hammer and your shoulder gets pulled. Well, if that's something you do day to day, nothing unusual happened, unfortunately, you don't have a workers' compensation claim. It has to be an accident, something unusual occurred.
Yeah, I think, number one, I think it's important for us to kind of clarify that, because someone who's not in, I'm not an attorney, and, you heard about somebody, Nana or somebody falling at work or whatever, banging their head on something, or they got carpal tunnel, from packing boxes and stuff like that. Like, can you kind of distinguish a little bit deeper? Like, okay, if your shoulder is just hurting or your back hurting because you work at, a shipping company, that just comes along with it.
Suppose you work on an assembly line, and one day your shoulder starts hurting, you go to the doctor and he says you have a rotator cuff tear. But see, most people say, look, that happened on my job, I'm entitled to workers' comp.
Yeah.
But if you didn't have an accident, more than likely that's not going to be covered. Carpal tunnel is a little different. If you have a repetitive motion injury, like you sew or do something very frequently over and over in the workplace, hundreds of times a day, thousands of times a day, you can have a claim. We call that an occupational disease. But other than that, you have to have an accident. Fall, slip, something falls on you, something unusual.
So, all right, what if there's a situation where, you see, or maybe you don't see the floor is wet sign, you slip and fall. Or, your manager tells you to do something and you slip off a ladder or something like that.
Accident. You good.
Those are accidents.
Well, I won't say you good,
but that's an
you're
accident.
bad, but you good. That's an accident.
Okay, all right. Okay, I just, I wanted to understand the difference between the two. All right. And now you tell me, why is this so why are you so passionate about this? Why is it something, what have you seen over the years?
I've been doing workers' compensation law for 30 years. And most people know I'm only about 37, 38 years old. Everybody know that's how I look.
You're aging backwards.
But look, I've been doing this for 30 years. And one of the things that I always struggle with, Jay, is that you have people injured on the job and they come to my office 5-6 months later after their injury. They had an accident. They slipped and fell on the job.
It happened.
And it happened. And they come in and say, Mr. Harris, I went to the doctor, orthopedic surgeon, and saying I need to have surgery on my back because I slipped and fell in the workplace. Okay, well, let's go. It's time to go.
Yeah.
Let's go get them. Let's go get your employer. But I didn't file a claim because I didn't want to do anything against my employer. And now they're denying my claim. That's where the sadness hits me. Is because you've got people, and many a time it's in the African American community, where we don't file a claim or do something to protect our interests because we want to make sure we stay in good stands with our employer. And that really, really hurts.
Top. Blue top. Go ahead.
And that really, really hurts because you've got this situation where, you've got an injury, but maybe the person didn't give notice because I don't want to do anything to hurt my employer. I don't want to do anything to disturb my relationship with my employee. But then you find out they need back surgery. And the employer is denying the claim because they didn't get a proper notice. Or they're trying to deny the surgery, arguing that the surgery is not necessarily related to the fall. Because the person waited so long to get treatment, trying to please their employer, now it's going to be hard to relate the injury to the fall.
Can you do anything about that at that point? Like, is it hard?
It makes it really, really tough, but you can.
Okay.
But it's really tough because there is, first of all, a 30-day notice requirement. So you're supposed to let your employer know immediately about an accident. First thing, we get that documentation. You got hurt on the job, and you gave a notice. We can pull that in the court case and use that against the employer. But you're supposed to give notice within 30 days. If you don't do that, it's very difficult to pursue a claim unless we can prove that that lack of notice did not prejudice your employer.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, if you get hurt today and you don't go to the doctor for 2 months, it makes it very difficult for the doctor to say that what you're experiencing 2 months later is related to your injury at work. And it's all because we've got either this fear of our employer, or we've got this situation where we don't want to hurt our employer.
Yeah. You know, this is tough, Ken. You know, I've thought about this in a flood of memories, not memories, but like conversations and places I've worked. You know, I began to think about different scenarios on how this could happen. You know, but the biggest thing, you know, my wife is an HR professional. She's been in HR for over 20 years. So, you know, when I was telling her about the show tonight, the podcast, and her eyes just lit up. And, you know, I was just trying to get her opinion on what she thought about, you know, why that happens, especially the fear of hurting an employer. And she said that, you know, even in her years, she's seen where people didn't file a claim because they felt like in some way they just, you know, they love Mr. Johnny or they love Big John or whoever. And they just didn't want to file a claim because they thought in some way it would hurt them. So let's clarify. Will it hurt the company if you file a claim?
Man, that's a great question, Jay. And it's odd because most companies have a ton of workers' compensation claims, so they don't look at it like that.
Okay.
It's just another workers' comp claim. They don't.
But do they though?
Oh yeah, because let
me say that differently. Mm-hmm. Will they not though? Will they not look at it in any certain way? Because that is something I want to paint some scenarios for you. I want to see what you think about that, because I do believe that is contributing to why people have certain either fear or love for the company.
Well, let me tell you why what I'm saying is accurate.
Okay.
The workers' comp claim actually ends up being against the employer's insurance carrier.
Gotcha.
So you have a big employer who's a delivery company or fulfillment company.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not, somebody gets hurt delivering a box. That happens, 5-10 times a day.
Okay.
And people file claims and they turn it over to the carrier. The carrier handles it. There's not this like intimacy when there's a workers' comp claim.
It's a cost of doing business.
It's cost of doing business.
Okay.
They pay insurance for that.
Okay.
And they estimate that they're going to have X number of claims anyway.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you determine what their premium is going to be.
Yeah.
So when someone gets hurt, yes, it's noticeable.
Mm-hmm.
No one likes to have what they call a lost time accident in the workplace if you're a supervisor. Mm-hmm. But the reality of it is it happens over and over and over again every day, every minute in North Carolina. People get hurt on the job and file workers' comp claims against the insurance carrier.
So why do you think people have a problem then? Let's deal with the fear part. Let's get the fear out of the way. Because I got thoughts on fear. Why or do you just want to why do you think people have such a hard time filing a claim?
I just think naturally, employers are intimidating.
Okay. Yeah.
And so when you're dealing with an intimidating enterprise that you work for, you have a job that you want to continue doing. Now you can't really do it because you're hurt, but you've been built these years. You've been working there 5 years. You've been built all those 5 years to please your employees so you can continue to work there, maybe want to get to retirement. But that's the mentality that you have. They're an intimidating entity, and you want to please them because you want to get somewhere in the workplace.
Yeah.
But all of that changes when you get injured,
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the first things that I thought of is when people think about anything with black folks, and I'm not saying all black folks, but when black folks start thinking about the legal system, they start thinking that, okay, if I file a claim, I'm not going to get, nothing is going to happen. I'm not going to get what I deserve. And then I think the other thing is, I may not get anything at all. It's just all hope is gone. So I'm just going to deal with it. And so maybe let's touch on that first. Is that realistic to kind of have that opinion to be like, you know what, there's no need for me to even try because, the man or somebody is not going to do right by me anyway.
The man.
You know what I'm saying?
It's not realistic because the workers' compensation laws, at least in North Carolina, are set up to favor the employee.
Okay.
So most claims get somewhere.
Okay.
And so yeah.
All right. So I got a double-edged sword on when on the not fear but just having a love for where you work. My mother, she worked at Frito-Lay for over 27 years. And, I just remember every Super Bowl Sunday, we're sitting there watching the game, and at halftime, Frito-Lay is owned by Pepsi. And so if it was the Cheetahs that goes Crunch, you know what I mean? Any of those, if it was Doritos, if it was anything Pepsi, she would say, look at our commercial. She would say, look at our commercial. Look at where we're spending our money. I've been married for a while now. And so I grew up as an entrepreneur. My dad was an entrepreneur. So I've been an entrepreneur for most of my life now, or my professional career, I should say. And, I just couldn't identify with her loving where she works. And so I think part of it, people love where they work and they feel like they're doing something to the company when they file a workers' compensation claim, and of course not understanding the law. But there was another thing that I thought about, and I want to get your thoughts on this. Man, I worked at a car dealership in Atlanta, and my dad, he has a sign company, and so he's been all over Charlotte and different places doing work for what we call real small businesses that make $1 million or $5 million, $10 million a year annually, and they may have 30, 50, 80 employees. So, like I said earlier, Big John or Mr. Eddie or whoever that runs the flooring company, he's walking down the hall every day, or Miss Lily been working here for 30 years. Mm-hmm. So Miss Lily might slip somewhere and she get hurt, and she may feel that she's doing something to Mr. John or Big John if she files a workers' compensation claim. Now, I understand everything you're saying, but how about this? What if there's a hazard or something that we all work around at the job? Maybe something is sticking out a little too far and somebody bang their head on it, or y'all know not to go in there. You might get locked in the freezer or something. Is that something that...
Those are accidents.
Those are accidents.
Those fall in.
But can you understand somebody saying, hey, if I file this claim, and we all know it's kind of a unspoken thing that goes on at this company, I don't want to get my employer in trouble. Yeah. Is that realistic? No, I mean, not realistic. Is that, can you understand?
Definitely understand it. There was you remember in Living Color, you're a young man, but back in the day there was a show called Living Color, and Jamie Foxx used to do a little thing with, I forgot the lady he played, but she said Wanda, whatever.
Yeah, Wanda.
Don't say nothing about Miss Jenkins. Never say nothing about Miss Jenkins. And that's that. Don't say nothing about my employer.
Yeah.
That counts until you get injured.
Yeah.
Watch how your employer treats you when you get injured. That's what I deal with day in and day out. So you love them, and they love you up until the day you get hurt.
So Ken, it sounds like you're saying that there is some, what's the word, retribution? That there is something to be afraid of, if you will, quote unquote, afraid of, that if I get hurt at work, then this little tweak in my back, you know what I'm saying? This little tweak in my knee, I'm gonna get over, I'm thinking in the first month of, I just get in some Epsom salt and let the hot water hit it for a little while, I'll be all right. I don't want to lose my job because of it. So are you saying that is a possibility, that there are some companies or some employers or some people at that company that could hold that against you?
Sure, they can hold it against you, but what I'm saying is when you get hurt, they don't love you like they loved you when you were healthy. So now you're left with options.
I got you.
If you don't file your workers' comp claim, guess what you got? No workers' comp claim, and they don't love you. Okay? So if they're not going to
insulted.
Exactly. So if they ain't going to love you, at least have your workers' comp claim and protect your injury and your future and your benefits. But if you think they love you the way you love them, after your injury,
Mm-hmm.
you got another thing coming, especially in North Carolina.
Yeah.
Thank goodness, though, it's not typically the employer who's managing the workers' comp claim.
Okay.
It's the insurance company.
Mm-hmm.
They don't love you like they used to.
But they know
the
about it,
insurance
right?
company has to pay.
Do they know about it? They
Oh,
know
yeah.
about it.
Oh, yeah.
And they know that you're the one that
Oh,
filed
yeah.
the claim, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. I mean, I'm just saying, I can understand. I do understand how people identify with their company or their employer. They wear that company as a badge of honor. And, you know, man, some of these companies, especially small, you know, I'm not talking about these Fortune 500, Fortune 1000 companies. I mean, you know, places all over America, you have, you know, these small businesses that, you know, they're the big fish in the little pond in a lot of these towns. And, you know, they, like I said, they may have 200 or less employees. And so you got people who have met and got married there. Baby mama worked there. All kinds of stuff going on.
I feel it.
Yeah.
I feel you on
and
all
so
that.
so, you know.
Get hurt on the job, see if they treat you like that. I mean, I just see it like, look, you know, kind of see that image of the Christmas party at the company, but you got the man outside looking through the window. He got a brace on his leg because he got hurt on the job, and they won't let him in.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. That's how they treat you when you get injured. They love you when you're healthy. And that begs the next question. What do they love, really?
Oh, I
they
know
love
they
your
love.
work.
Yeah.
They don't love you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you got to be aware of that, because the minute your ability to do that work ends, then you have a different circumstance with your employer.
Two things on that I do want to tap on. One is, you know, I think about, you know, somebody gets hurt. You know, I want to talk about the time limit, like, you know, what the statute of limitations are and things of that nature, because, you know, everybody got little Eddie, and you know, he ain't had no tendons in his pinky. He can't hold, his, you know, a coffee mug the right way because he got hurt up there at the job. You know,
typically it's 2 years from the date of the accident.
2 years, okay.
Or if they start paying benefits, it's 2 years from the last date that they paid benefits.
Okay.
But you got 2 years, you get hurt. But you need to give that notice, because even if you file a claim within 2 years, if you haven't given that notice, the employer is going to try to defeat your claim.
Okay. All right, I forgot the other thing. But what is it that you want that we should be making? What do we want to make sure people understand?
If you have a severe injury at work, I don't care about Miss Jenkins. File your workers' compensation claim.
Big John don't really care about you like that.
He don't care about you like that. And if you putting all your hopes and dreams in your employer and they gonna take care of you, I guarantee you, the minute they figure out that you didn't get that notice, all that love and goodwill that you thought in there, harmony and grits that they had in the workplace,
harmony
is gone.
Listen,
yeah.
But Big John, my daddy worked for Big John. Big John gave us a turkey at Christmas and Thanksgiving. You know, Big John's wife gave my daughter a Bible and some money on when she graduated from high school. And now
and you can add to that, Big John terminated me because I got hurt on the job and I didn't file my claim and I didn't get any workers' comp benefit. Okay. That's what you can add to it.
All right, can we go militant on this for a second? or are you afraid?
No, let's go.
Okay. So, you know, in Django, there's this classic scene where Leonardo DiCaprio gets shot. And there's all this turmoil going on. And of course, Samuel Jackson's character, I don't know his name, I have to look it up, but he's the long-time slave, house Negro that is in the movie. And when he gets shot, there's this famous scene of Samuel Jackson holding him from behind, you know, squalling, as they say, in the South. And, you know, is there a little bit of the black community just kind of struggling with the fact that, you know, not that this is it's a slave ship or a plantation as relates to where you work, but is it something in us as a culture to just, you know, deal with suffering, deal with something when we're hurt and not truly understanding everything? So we just say, you know what, I'll just let it go because I don't want to hurt the company or this person. They're personalizing their employer by a person who may just be an employee there as well. They don't own the company. They're just, you know, a boss that's been there forever.
You know what's strange about that? I understand the thoughts related to the analogy, but I see it amongst all employees. There's this reluctance.
Okay, so this is not just a black or
pursue
African American
thing. But I think it is a little bit more pronounced with us.
Okay.
Now, I don't know the exact reasons why it's more pronounced, but it's a dynamic that exists with all employees.
What do you think? Do you think that, I mean, what else? Do you just think that people just like where they work and they don't understand the law, or is it something else? Do you have another opinion
all
about that?
All the things you mentioned before. I think they're scared of their employer. They're intimidated by their employer. Okay. Sometimes they love their employer.
Yeah.
Sometimes they think they owe their employer. Yeah. I don't want to file work comp because they've done, like you said, they've done so much for me over the years.
Yeah.
The problem is you have to think about the implication to you and your family at that point. And don't believe that you don't pursue that claim and then they're going to treat you right if they have a defense. Yeah. If they have a defense, that insurance company is going to use it regardless of your relationship with your employer.
Gotcha. Oh, I did one last thing for me. If there is something hazardous at your workplace, and you know, is there likelihood that something, you know, that a company can be penalized because you got hurt doing something, or they asked you to do something, and you know it was hazardous? Yeah. Or is that the basis of the whole thing in the first place?
Yeah, I think that's where employers are very careful. Okay. That they don't want hazards in the workplace because that can lead to an accident. So they're very careful and cognizant of that. Okay. But employers are slick. They try to find everywhere in the book to get around paying you benefits when you're hurt. Okay. Regardless of what type of goodwill existed before that.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So if Aunt Janie or somebody been, you know, dangling for the last 5 years and they ain't do nothing about it, is it too late?
It's too late. Okay. 2 years.
Okay.
Jump on it within 2 years. Yeah.
All right. Okay. All right. What you got? What's next, man? You good on that? What else?
I'm good on that. You know, I need to get that out, man. Get that out of the system. So
how long have you been doing workers' comp claims?
About 31 years.
So you've seen everything, every kind of scenario you can think of.
Yeah. Fought. And that's why I'm like I am. It's like I've seen companies run over employees. Yeah. Good folk. Yeah. I mean, people who have devoted their lives to the company, and now that they're hurt, boy, the company treats them like absolute dirt.
Oh, that's another thing. And they're heartbroken by that, too. Heartbroken.
I can't believe they would treat me like this after all that I've done.
Yeah.
But that's the way it is, yeah.
Yeah, that's terrible, man. All right. Yeah. So, man, listen. LG is off screen right now. LG, man, let me tell you, LG is my guy. He's our guy. He's everybody's guy. Yeah. You know, LG, I gotta tell you, man, I don't know what Ken has cooking about. He like The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. I don't know what he's got cooking, but he's been dying to talk about LeBron. Every time I talk to him on the phone, he's like, "Man, I want to talk about," you know, I say LeBron. I want to talk about LeBron, and I was like, "All right, well, let's talk about LeBron." So he done got all his notes, he got all his papers and reports and everything on LeBron. I'm a LeBron fanatic, so I got all my stuff in my head about LeBron. So what is it that you want to talk about concerning LeBron?
Man, LeBron is an interesting brother. No, I love LeBron, man, but first met LeBron, I don't know, LG.
Y'all almost signed LeBron, didn't you?
We almost
got
did.
Close.
Way back in the day. We
in the
came
running.
in second. I think we came in second.
Yeah,
we were
a distant second.
A distant second. And it was interesting. Met him and Gloria, his mother, and spent some time with them. And they absolutely, at the time, of course, he was just coming out of high school. Yeah. And just the nicest, most polite, intelligent young man you could ever imagine. So I really, really liked LeBron when we first met him and first started interacting. Okay. And then to see what he's become, you know, because it's very hard, man. You know, when somebody says you're going to be that guy, the chosen one, it's hard to end up being the chosen one. Yeah. But he actually did it. It's really incredible. Yeah. But is he?
Is he what?
The chosen one. I mean, is he? I mean, you know.
I'm trying to be patient.
Okay, you have to be patient on this, man.
Roll it out, though, man.
He's done a lot. I'm gonna give him his props. He's done a lot. Now, you know, I went to Chapel Hill.
Yes, you did.
I came in the same year as, you know. I only, you know, I mean, you know, he had to put some respect on it before you even say his name.
Same year as him.
as him. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
You know, so there is this question about that. But I'm just talking about, man, I really am trying to figure out where LeBron fits in terms of sports and sports history. Not necessarily as it relates just to basketball either. I'm talking about his contributions to the community. It's interesting. It's just hard to pin down where he fits.
It's
now.
not hard at
Okay,
all.
well, talk to me then, man. You know.
What you want to talk about on the floor, or you want to talk
Let's
about?
start with on the court because I always like to hear these fans talk about his way he goes on the court. You know.
Well, I'm gonna let you direct all of that energy to those fans and folks. You got your pinky up when you drinking your soda and everything. Like, so, I'm gonna let you know right now. You can miss me with all of that energy you got pent up about LeBron and everything. I would say this on the floor. LeBron James.
Be careful. Be careful. I saw you take a breath, dog. Be careful with what
they
you
call that
say.
a pregnant pause.
Yeah.
But, LeBron James is the greatest basketball player.
Okay.
That comes in second to Michael Jordan.
Ooh.
Listen, so if that's where we're going, if that's the build up, this been like a 2-month build up. Again, talking about this, you know, I have to say this. Listen, LeBron James. Listen, man, y'all know, listeners, you don't know, like Graham, Ken, and I, we have had many discussions about LeBron James. When LeBron James was at the Miami Heat, him, D Wade, and Chris Bosh. When I tell you that was LeBron's heyday in Miami was our heyday together. Being in the office every day, talking about LeBron for all those years, man, great times. But for me, LeBron is, as far as talent and skill set, I think he's the most talented, potentially, and there's some arguments there, but talent-wise, just waking up, being born, walking a gym, he's the most talented. The greatest player that ever lace up is Michael Jordan. Okay. Michael Jordan is, you know, for me, is Jesus, Bruce Lee, and Michael Jordan. They the greatest men to walk Earth, in my opinion. That's just how strongly I feel about Michael Jordan. I will say this though about this, and I'm serious, but I'm joking, but I am serious though. I don't like this conversation about LeBron and MJ. I feel like, you know, I understand that sports is a thing where we have to debate and argue and talk about who's better and we, you know, fandom and all that. But I feel like, you know, as someone who studies social media a lot, who's basically been in my mid to late 20s for this whole 19-year run, now I'm in my, you know, early 40s, almost mid 40s now, to kind of see this almost 20-year run for LeBron. I feel that the comparison to Michael Jordan has been used as a weapon to diminish his accomplishments. And I don't like that.
Man, I agree with you wholeheartedly.
Okay.
And it's interesting. You know, I think before you start a vibrant comparison between the two, you need to first celebrate what each of them are.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's happened with LeBron, is that you don't really get to celebrate all that he is and all that he's done, because in that conversation, you almost naturally get into this discussion about him and the GOAT, him and MJ. And
it's hard. I understand that. It's hard not to. I understand that. Yeah. I mean, because part of the problem, this is this is a real problem. The problem is that LeBron fans are similar to another despicable, delusional fan base, which are the Dallas Cowboys. And I know this for a fact. I have lived this for years. I'm gonna tell you something about me real quick, Ken. Yeah. I don't think you know this.
Yeah.
Where are you from? Where you born in Alaska?
Man. Born in Texas, man.
You were born in Texas.
Yes,
Conroe, Texas.
Conroe, Texas.
That's Houston, basically, right?
Right outside of Houston.
Okay,
right.
And you moved to
Same state as Dallas. Yeah. You moved to Fayetteville, same state as Dallas.
Okay, and you moved to Fayetteville, North Carolina. All right,
a
cool,
lot of
cool.
Dallas fans. Yeah, go ahead.
Gotcha. All right, so I'm not making a comparison or the connection to the Dallas Cowboys. I'm just saying I grew up in Charlotte, North Carolina. I was born and raised in Charlotte, North Carolina. When I was growing up, there was no Carolina Panthers, right? The Carolina Panthers came like my last year in high school or the year after I had graduated. So I grew up a Redskins fan. Oh, excuse me, the Washington football team fan, right? Yeah. Doug Williams, I remember sitting in the den on the floor, like a floor model, floor model TV on the floor and seeing Doug throw 4 touchdowns. Incredible, right? Yeah. So I grew up hating the Dallas Cowboys. So I'll say this, I don't want to spend too much time on it. But LeBron fans are just like gone on saying he's the greatest to ever play basketball. And so I think that's where a lot of the problem comes in. They're so fanatical about him that they're like misguided.
Yeah. Well, first of all, man, the reference about the Cowboys was entirely inappropriate, man. But you know,
unnecessary.
Totally unnecessary, man. But anyway, but good timing on that, man. Good timing on that too, man. But I get it. But you know, it's something. It feels a little bit more fundamental than that to me. Mm-hmm. I think there is a problem with putting LeBron down for the sake of having a discussion about MJ. Mm-hmm. LeBron has been absolutely magnificent.
Yes.
This brother had that camera on him from day one.
Yes.
And has lived a life that has been exemplary.
Yeah.
And lived up to the doggone hype.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you could imagine that a person could live up to that type of hype, though.
Incredible.
I mean, if you start talking, man, we might start crying. And if we start talking about what he did for Cleveland.
Yeah, man.
Let's be for real, dog. I mean, that whole city had their sports fate in his hand, and he lived up to the hype and got it done.
Yeah, I wanted to finish answering your question. I forgot one thing. So on the floor, MJ is the best. That doesn't mean I love LeBron any less, or that I don't think he's the second best player to ever play the game. Off the floor, it's a landslide. It's a landslide. As far as LeBron is still playing in the league, he's 37 years old, and he's done incredible stuff off the floor. Now, even with that said, you still have to give a lot of respect to Michael Jordan because he laid the blueprint. So, millennials and these young folks, they have so much information that is provided to them. They understand what to do before they even graduate high school. So he came into the game, putting together his team, Rich Paul, Maverick Carter, all these folks that you guys have met and known. And so, some of his blueprint is a lot of his blueprint is Michael Jordan, but off the floor,
he made the biggest mistake on the blueprint with Space Jam, though. We won't talk about that.
First of all, I don't think the movie is for,
Have you seen Space Jam too, man?
I have not seen Space Jam.
Man, save that couple of hours. Save that couple of hours. Please save that couple of hours.
It's subjective, right?
Yeah.
Whether or not
subjectively bad, it is, man. if you go look at them reviews, it ain't just me on that.
But I will say this, Michael Jordan, as far as, I've always thought about this, because you went to school with Michael Jordan, right? Michael Jordan. He could walk past here and he's like, Ken, what up? He knows you, right? Mm-hmm. I think personally that you don't look at him, you don't see him as I hate to say this, mama wouldn't like this, but almost as this godlike figure that people in my generation, how we look at him. And so I think that's just a difference. So I think some people just, he can do no wrong, nothing is wrong. You can't compare him.
Man, it's crazy you say that because it's kind of wild because I do look at Michael Jordan like that. There's two Michael Jordans to me.
Okay.
Like when we were in school, it's the guy you walking on the yard, you see hey, what's up, Mike? And then after we got out of school, going to Chicago, having a chance to go to games and hang out with Mike and some of the guys. Mm-hmm. and my man Adolph back in the day.
Yeah,
and
shout
we had
out
a
to
great time.
Adolph.
Shout out to my man Adolph.
R. Shiver.
And Fred Whitfield, who has done a magnificent job with MJ over the years. So, you know, I remember that, right?
Yeah.
What's strange though, like if Last Dance, when that came on, and I watched that, no, I saw that glow.
You saw
around
the
MJ.
like Bruce Leroy. You saw the
you know, it's like that dude is not real. That dude is not real. You know, it's hard for a human being to do that stuff.
Yeah, man.
So I have to admit, even I get into. I can't remember which player was talking about when he first. Allen Iverson.
Said
when he first saw
all of them.
that aura.
Yeah. He said he thought it was floating. I think.
Yeah. I mean, I get caught up in that too for sure, man.
Yeah.
So, but let me ask you this:
Okay.
Does LeBron have that same impact? I've never really heard anybody say. And I'm not getting caught up in that comparison stuff.
No, low key you are, but I think for a little kid, possibly, and not possibly, I think for some kids it is that way. If they met him in real life, they would feel like that. I mean, you know,
because I feel like he's deserving.
Yeah,
of that aura.
But this generation,
there's one MJ.
It is, but this generation is different, and I think that's what I was alluding to a little earlier. Like, you know, Mike didn't have to deal with social media, man. He didn't have to deal with people all over the world. You know, Mike was doing his thing and in the league. So whatever he got into, nobody knew about it unless you were a reporter, a nosy reporter trying to follow him around or something. Every single move, you mentioned it earlier. LeBron was on the cover of Sports Illustrated, I think, when he was 16 years old or something, man. And so the spotlight has been bright on him for his whole life, more than his whole life. And so I say all that to just say that, man, as great as Michael Jordan is or was, he just didn't have the pressure, in my opinion, that LeBron has played under.
Well, I got to ask you a question.
What's up?
Man, you know, I'm trying to get anybody in a sensitive situation. But the Lakers.
Okay.
I'm not talking about the old Lakers. I'm talking about the Lakers. I'm talking about the Lakers right now today.
Sam Perkins.
The Russell Westbrook. Davis,
they call him, man.
LeBron James Lakers that we have right now. The Wayne Ellington Lakers.
Malik Monk.
Yeah, the Malik Monk Lakers. All right. We get toward, I guess we get toward the end of LeBron's career. And,
definitely.
You know, he goes to the Lakers, and obviously they handle business in the bubble. You know, I give him, a third of a championship trophy for that.
Man, I don't like that bubble. People put that bubble on you, man. Put that bubble on you.
I'll give him that bubble championship, man.
Listen, man, he won the chip. Like if anyone else would have won the chip, they would have.
I still have to put that bubble beside it.
Listen,
in the record book, they need to have one of them little bubbles.
The bubble beside it. No, they said that being in the bubble was like in the House of Horrors.
Yeah.
They said, man, they were so cabin fever.
Yeah.
LeBron said he looked like the little girl in the horror movie be riding the tricycle was coming down the hallway.
Yeah.
So and now I will share some information for you. This is, Ken, Graham, and I, we do have we are privy to inside information a lot of times. I was told that the mental anguish was so bad in the bubble that they had to set up some counseling and things down there because it was really tough on those guys to be down there. So I was mentioning this earlier. I was talking about diminishing things.
Yeah, we
have to stop, and I think you were talking about, do people see LeBron like they saw Michael Jordan, maybe kids? In this era, man, it's okay to hate. There's a lot of haters, and people just can put snark on you, and it's hard to get that snark off of you once it's on you about certain things, man. And so I just feel like, when we start talking about some of this stuff, it's diminishing him, and I don't like that.
All right, so back to the Lakers.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was trying to throw you off. You're a good lawyer, man.
I forgot.
You're a good attorney, man.
Yeah.
I'm trying to shake you off.
You shook me strong. You got me confused for a minute. But back to the Lakers. What we were talking about.
Okay. This year's Lakers. Okay.
Wayne Ellington, Malik Monk Lakers. That's what we said.
Why you keep saying Wayne Ellington?
Yeah. Wayne Ellington with the Lakers.
No, he don't play with the Wayne Ellington.
Yeah, he was the Lakers. Yeah.
With Malik Monk and Wayne Ellington played for the Lakers.
And all I got to do is look for 1 for 8. Go across the line. No, I'm just kidding. Wayne Ellington, my man. That's all you. All right. But how do you see that dynamic now? This is a storied franchise with an absolutely storied player. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I got...
You talking about LeBron, right?
LeBron. Oh. I got him... You know, I used to have LeBron at number 2.
You used to?
Yeah. But you know I got number 2 now?
Number 2 on what? On what?
Gold.
So you had him above MJ?
No, I had him number 2 behind MJ.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah, number 2 behind him. You know I have number 2 now?
Oh.
Kobe Bean Bryant.
Ow.
Man, when you go back and look, take your time. Take a minute to go back and look.
What they call it?
What Kobe...
What they call him when you pass away? Lord forgive me, I ain't jumping. But what they call it when you pass away? Post what?
Morbid syndrome. What you
We are not. Listen, I'm not laughing at Kobe. I'm just saying when it just. I seen this happen.
Kobe got 5 of them, man.
Hold on, slow down, slow down. So you kill.
Please don't tell me this is about Shaq or something.
No, I'm just saying. Hold on. I think. I'm gonna let you finish your point. Then I'm gonna tell you what I think you're doing. But go ahead.
Okay.
All right. I'm sorry.
Go back and take a minute and look at what Kobe, you got to put the bean on it, the Kobe Bean Bryant did in his career.
Yeah.
When I look at that 81 points, dog, that's like, that 81 he put up was like Wilt putting up that 100 to me. Mm-hmm. Putting up 81 in today's time.
Yeah.
The man closed his career out with, put 60 on him. Yeah. The day he walked off the court.
Yeah.
In between that, he put 5 rings on.
He did.
And should have had more.
Could have.
When I go back and actually watch what he did, I'm talking about, and that's what I've done lately. Because I didn't have him in my top 4 or 5.
Yeah.
When I go back and watch what that dude did.
You didn't have Kobe in your top 4 or 5?
No, man, because see, I was big. See, I had to get past
Jabbar.
I had to get past Jabbar.
Lou Alcindor.
You know, and I'm going to tell you something, man. You know, I also, you know, a little shaky with Shaq. I got to figure out where Shaq goes. But Kobe, to me, man, once you really go back and look at all that he did, the attitude by which he did it, how he had the impact on his teammates, because he was very much like MJ in terms of how he treated his teammates, which wasn't necessarily always good.
Yeah.
I just have to elevate him, man, and go ahead and put him up there. But, so I always have this little thing between LeBron and Kobe, but I don't want to diss Kobe because of what I'm learning about Kobe.
Yeah.
Having said all that, you got somebody like LeBron on the Lakers now. And my dilemma is he still LeBron? Is the team failing? Because I've seen LeBron be in situations where he had teammates that were hitting on it, but he elevated them and they still won. They're 22-22 right now.
Yeah.
I'm talking about, so is he not that dude anymore? I mean, he can't elevate AD and Russell and handle business so that they, you know, get somewhere this year? He just, you know, too old? What's up?
Listen, let me say this about LeBron. I think somebody had a play, maybe it was a fictional play, like, Lord, I'm tired. Listen, man, LeBron is tired, dog. Like, you bring up Kobe. Listen, man, when I hear MJ, Kobe, LeBron, I relate that to Biggie, Jay-Z, and Nas. Like, who do you think is the best? And it really comes down to who do you identify with the most. Nobody is better than Jordan. Kobe, I understand how people elevate him over LeBron, but here's the caveat that I always think about. When LeBron hit the scene, he's 27, 7, and 7. It's been that right now, 27, 7, and 7. At age 37, he's still averaging the same amount. I think, you know, so when it comes to is, you know, Kobe better than him, I don't want to, you know, debate that with you, but I would put LeBron ahead of him because of a person's name that you mentioned, the big boy Shaq. You know, he had Shaq for 3 of them things. Now, LeBron was always the alpha dog. He was always the best player on all of his championship teams. So I just wanted to say that.
Well, let me ask you a question.
But we got to get back to your question, but go ahead.
Is it consistency versus or excellence? Which one is it?
In regards
I
to
agree with LeBron is 27-7, 27. MJ averaged,
See, that we doing it. We doing it
37,
right now.
34?
We doing
How
it.
many Kobe
I
games,
told you,
man?
listen, this is why I like LG. Now, let me tell
I
you
wish I
something.
had my stats.
I know, but listen, it's like, man, if you just get out of rehab and you've been sober for 12 months and you go and you tell everybody, man, I ain't tasted no wine and I don't know how long. You know what I'm saying? I've been doing good and everything. They say, well, you ain't Jesus. You like, come on, man. Like, at least I'm doing good. So we can't, like, every time. It's so easy to do it where anytime we're talking about LeBron, we start some kind of way we slip MJ back in it. I just think we shouldn't do that at all. But, I mean, that's, we do what we want to do. So, anyway, to answer your question, this is what I feel like is happening. Man, LeBron, 37 years old, dog. Right now, he's been on a 30-point per game. You can turn it off. Hit that. Yeah, I think we are. Man, LeBron had for the past 10 games, LeBron has been averaging almost 30 points, dog. What he can't do anymore is just from tip off to the end of the game, just kind of control the game, do whatever he wants to do. He's just a little older. He's older, dog, and I think that's okay. Now, what was supposed to happen is that AD was supposed to be the heir apparent and was supposed to be that dude.
Gotcha.
Now, Russ was supposed to let your boy LeBron chill, get some rest. But every time he come off the court, he like, goodness gracious, I can't even go. By the time I swing my Gatorade good,
down 18.
You know what I'm saying? So I think that's more the issue. Okay. Yes, he's older. It's just he's still that dude, but he can't be the dude as long.
Well, let me say this.
A lot of people know how that is.
Love LeBron. That brother has done it on and off the court. Done it for the community.
Incredible
for the community, man.
If people don't know it, I promise school. He built a whole school where he gave the parents jobs. He built the whole ecosystem for students, to go to school there. It's incredible.
And then he's carried himself with class and dignity from
Spring Hill. You talk bad about Space Jam, but of course he released Space Jam. He has
That's the only thing.
No, he got the movie. The TV show where the ball go down. I forgot the name of it. It's still on. It's been on for a while. He been cooking. Yeah. Spring Hill matter of fact, they just did a huge deal.
That's good. It's Spring Hill, man. But that's Space Jam. Man. Let's run right there. But that's a problem right there.
Man, you ain't talking about Paramount Pictures when they do something wrong, dog.
Yeah, man. So, and man, maybe the next time he'll get to write the screenplay or something. Never know, man. Root for him.
Listen, I got a rule, man. Stop messing with stuff. Stop trying to remake stuff, classics and stuff like that. Man. You gonna be behind the 8 ball already.
Boy, even
Eddie Murphy couldn't remake his own movie. Come to America.
He almost in a no-win situation because MJ fans are gonna hate on it anyway.
They like, why
what I'm doing now. And so, I get it. Yeah. But just a magnificent person. And I wanted to talk about LeBron and talk about the fact that on his own, he is a historic, powerful, unique, one-of-a-kind athlete. And we may never see another LeBron James.
I feel like that we're going to look back and we're not going to appreciate him. I feel that he's done so much and he's done it with so much ease on and off the court. And he, that we're going to not appreciate him. And I'll tell you one other thing. He hasn't had that, I knock on wood, that fall from grace moment. Kobe had it, MJ had it, this thing where like you're looking at a movie and you got the protagonist and the antagonist and you just, he's almost been perfect. Well, he's been perfect. And so I think a little bit of that kind of feeds into it. And I think we're not gonna appreciate him well enough until he's gone.
Well, I would encourage everybody, man, to start really getting into that brother absent the MJ discussion. Hey, take MJ out of it, appreciate
Please take MJ out of it.
For what he is. And on the court, man, he's kind of like a marriage between Magic and Pippen. Kind of like a combination, the perfect combination of those two, man. So on and off the court, I think we really need to start giving him his props for what he's accomplished.
Man, I want to say one more thing about The Last Dance, the documentary on the last season of when Michael Jordan played with the Chicago Bulls. Mm-hmm. Man, I looked at that and I just was blown away by the speed in which Michael Jordan was playing. Like, it was like there was no thought in, I think I'm going to make this move. I think I'm going to dribble this way. It was like consistent speed. It's like as soon as he caught the ball, he was gone. He was doing whatever he wanted to do. And this was in year whatever before he retired. It was incredible.
And if somebody came to you and told you, I'm going to give you the ability to be faster than everybody else and jump higher than everybody else.
Yeah.
And you had those two attributes, man, you already got props on that.
Yeah.
So he ran a 4.3, I think, in college. Yeah. This guy was just an unbelievable athlete, a different animal, man.
So I don't know if you have anything else on LeBron, but let me say this. For history, for the rest of our life, let's not compare anybody else to Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan is I think Larry Bird called him Jesus in sneakers or something like that. Like, it's just, it's incredible what he was as a basketball player.
Yeah, I think that's the best approach. Let MJ be MJ. But LeBron, actually, man, I'm telling you, I got scared last year. You know, when they start talking about LeBron winning another championship. Yeah. It did, I'm going to tell you, I won't say this too loud on the podcast. Yeah. But you did get kind of worried. People who, MJ fans got a little worried about that GOAT thing. Because if he wins another championship and you start looking at the stats, then you got some challenges when you start talking about him. You know, the argument is, and let's not get over into this, but it's always been that 6-0 versus LeBron's record and all that. Yeah. But I did get a little worried, when if he wins another one, I am going to be a little worried that people are going to get a little cloudy about.
I think we're already there. I think we're there already. I think there's a fraction of folks, a good bit of folks who loudly state that they believe LeBron James is the greatest player to ever play basketball or be in the NBA. And I think it's because, another thing that's in his sights is the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's scoring record. Yeah. The most points scored in NBA history. Yeah. He has that in his sights. Yeah. And I think people are saying, hey, Dwayne Wade said something the other day. He said the next generation is going to forget about how great Michael Jordan was. Mm-hmm. The same way his generation or my generation with him forgot about how good Kareem was. Mm-hmm. And so, all right,
we'll see what happens.
Yeah, man.
But both of them much props, and like you say, man, both of them stand on their own merits, and we need to give them both props separately.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. All right, man. You got anything else? You got something else?
That's it, man. Brother, hungry now.
I know, man. We got a marathon. What's the name of this? Marathon podcast?
Yeah, man. What we got about 8 hours in here, man.
Nipsey Hussle. Marathon continues on this podcast.
Start the next shift. But man, Jay, thank you, brother, man. It's always about being in this, in this black court, man. Yeah. And I appreciate it, man. I look forward to coming back and handling some business and giving the people what they need. At the next podcast, brother.
Listen, man, I think we got something really, really special. It feels good already. So I'm looking forward to going on this journey with you. One of the many journeys you and I have been on. We're just going to add this to the repertoire.
And if they think we ain't going to talk about Tiger Woods, if y'all think we ain't going to talk about Tiger Woods in one of these episodes, just wait. You tune in. We're going to talk about Tiger. I ain't saying no shout out. I said we're going to talk about it.
I'm just saying, Lord bless Tiger's leg. Yeah. Let it heal properly and wholly. All right. And everything. Shout out to Charlie, his little son. Yeah, Charlie Doe.
Yeah, we're going to talk about Tiger.
Okay, all right. You don't want to do it now. You don't want to touch it now. No. That's another hour.
Yeah, that's another hour. Okay. We'll talk about that later.
All right, cool, man. You going to close us out, man?
Hey, man, let's close it out, man. Great evening, great night, man. Great podcast. And we'll see everybody next time, though.
Holla at you.
Later.
Yep.